All right, let's take a look at Barbarossa, Army Group South, 1941. This is GMT. I don't know how many editions of this game there are. This one is 1996. So I have all but North and Center, which I have the second editions on pre-order. But I will say that I just started playing this the other night, went through the rules, and this might be my new favorite World War II. Well, it's a monster if you put it all out there, all 4 maps or 5 maps or whatever, so I really enjoy this. So anyhow, we've played the first 2 turns in this game. This is not a chit draw, but it has an extremely long sequence of play. Let me get that up here. Yeah, so it's like a front and then a back. So there's a lot of stuff to go through, but well worth it. And it really doesn't play that hard because movement's pretty simple. Combat has some details into it when you include air and artillery trying to execute all that, but it's really not that tough. Dealing with terrain's not that severe. You have different types of movement, rail, strategic. You get your road benefits, or you might not get your road benefits. You can have air transport if it's available. There's 2 movement segments for each side. The Axis go move, regular move, combat, motorized. And then the Soviets go motorize, combat, and then regular move. So they're kind of backwards. And you got to think really hard with the Soviets, because you figure non-motorized units, if you want them to be in combat, they've already got to be in position to attack. I think one of the coolest features of this game, and I haven't had a chance to, haven't been able to use it yet, but it may start up here soon. I've used it, but it didn't really affect anything, is they have a segment called reaction move. So whenever an attack against your units is getting ready to happen, there's a rule that allows you to move motorized units that are within 3 hexes of the declared attack hex. They can move at half movement allowance and can potentially get into that hex to help in the defense, which is really cool. I haven't had one yet that's been affected by that, but I like that's got to be the first game I've seen with a rule like that. So and that allows you to space units out to create zone of control barriers to slow down the attackers. Supply, you have general supply, and then you have attack supply. If you're not in attack supply at the moment you go into combat as the attacker, you're going to end up taking a +2 die roll modifier, which you want a low roll, not high. So the higher you roll, the worse your results are. Artillery, when you have artillery that has range on it, and for the attacker, they have to also be in attack supply. And attack supply is provided by these units right here. Though you see the truck, that's called a mobile supply unit. And the ones with the oil cans or the fuel cans on them, that is a supply dump. And you notice there's a red 2. So that supply dump provides 2 attack supply points, and the MSU provides 1. Now these guys can also provide general supply to units that can't normally trace a regular supply path. And the supply is, I think it's really good. You get I think it's like 7 hexes across anything, or across anything to get to a road or a rail hex that leads back to your supply source. And then once you're on a road, it's 21 hexes, and either to the supply source or to a rail line that leads to a supply source. And then the rail line is unlimited. In this particular, this is called Rundstedt Attacks. This is scenario 3 of Army Group South. And the supply sources are anything on the north and west edge in Poland for the Germans. And for the Soviets, for this scenario, it's any of the east edge road or rail hexes. So there's other, I think if you play the campaign or other ones, they can use the major cities too. All right, so I don't want to get too deep into the rules. I just want to review these. We played the first 2 turns. So we've played the 20, you probably not going to see it in that light. The 22nd, 23rd, and the 24th. So we played from the 22nd through the 25th, and so we're starting the 3rd turn. And I did a little studying on the General Staff's maps that you can look at the Library of Congress, and they have divisional positions for every day for the invasion of Russia. For I think it's all 4 years they were there. Day by day, great maps. So I looked at all those to see, and I was like, wow, in like 3 days, von Rundstedt had driven all the way to, let's see, Brody, which is right here, which I think was called Drubno, underneath that W there. Yeah, my little letter things are victory locations. If it's on a letter side, that means the Soviets still own it. If it's got on the whole side, that means the Germans have taken it. You can see how far that unit's gotten in just 2 turns. He's way out there, and he's still in supply, so von Rundstedt, this is the Army Group South breakout. You know, they had the majority of Soviet forces to deal with. But as you can see right here in this pocket, which von Rundstedt pulled off, was it between the 3rd and 5th armies or the 5th and 6th armies? I got headquarters around here somewhere, let me see. So that's 5th. And then the other one's down over here somewhere. But anyhow, it was in that pocket right there, and he broke out, and he just drove, you know, east, slightly southeast. And that's similar to what's happened here. With this now 3rd turn coming up, I've got all these German forces in here that have just freedom of movement right now. And they're gonna open this pocket up. So the question is obviously I got to take the victory locations or exit units off the map. And after 6 turns, which it's only a six turn game, those units that exit off the map, they have to be in supply where they exited. And there's victory points for that. I think there's so many. It's like 4 or 5 you get them off there. But I like the progression of this game so far. I've just sort of eased into it over a couple nights. Tonight I sit here and played probably 3/4 of a turn. Yeah, because I did the Axis move in combat. And I started tonight with the Axis move, and I played all the way through the Soviet end and then the change of the game turn. Excuse me. Reinforcements. The Germans will get a boatload here on turn 4. Soviets, they pretty much got all theirs. They got some replacements that came in. They got a few more coming. The Soviets get 1 attack supply point every turn, and that's what the trucks or the dumps were. You know, and any replacements they got, which they got them this turn, it was use them or lose. So they had 5 replacement points for this turn. You can see them right there. And for the armor, those are each 1 step. They didn't have any armor to replace. So they pretty much, it's use it or lose it, so they lost a point. Germans, you get divisional combat bonuses, and you get combined arms. And there's a chart that shows you that. But the divisional combat bonuses is these Panzer divisions. When they've got all their units stacked together, or a certain number of them, they'll get a die roll modifier. Air, really haven't had to use it yet. As a matter of fact, I had 4 German air units came on this turn. I had to roll to get them ready, and only 1 of them passed. But you can use those for interdiction, which you can see there's interdiction markers on the on 4 of the Soviet headquarters, and that's right from the start to keep them from assigning extra units or artillery to things. The Soviets also have a mandated attack or counterattack. And if they don't use them, and if the Germans capture a victory location, like i.e. this one right here, they took that victory location. For every mandated attack that the Soviets have not executed, at the end of the turn, they get victory points for each one of those mandated attacks not yet made. Fortunately, the Soviets did make 2 right here in this pocket, but as you can see, it's funny, they attacked that artillery unit, and they got beaten back. and they attacked that guy right there, and they got beaten back. So, but they did execute 2 of their mandated attacks, and there's certain odds you have to meet initially before any modifiers when you make the attack, and they were able to do that. So they got rid of 2 of them. They've only got 1 left they got to burn. Not much dent's been put in over here, which I find when I play War in the East, the Gary Grigsby game, I don't really get a dent over here in this pocket until I've started to cut off all this stuff. Of course, in this game here, you're not going to take army units. Of course, this isn't, the game turns aren't as long, but you're not just going to break right through there and run all the way down there and free up the rest of Army Group South. But I will say this. When I studied that map, and after 2 or 3 days, I saw that von Rundstedt was like all the way over here. I'm like, man, that's some work. Well, I said, there's no way I'm going to do it in this game, but by golly, you can see where I'm at over here after 2 game turns, and you can see the big buildup I got right there. All right, so I think this game should probably turn out to be a rather routine German victory. They have unlimited attack supply on the first turn. For the first 2 turns, the motorized movement allowance, which is normally half, is full for the Germans on the first 2 turns. So that gives them a plus on, to move all the way out there. Soviet units up in this area, they're not real strong. Broke down most of the fortified hexes and destroyed them. They have here. See if I can find one here. The one right there looks like a little fortress hexagon. They had a bunch of them over in here, and you attack and you leave an infantry unit or engineer on top of that fortified hex, and then at the end of the turn, they get in the engineering phase, they get to destroy it. They also have these fortified zones that are permanent on the map. You destroy those the same way, and there's a marker to mark those. I had to go get one of the other games, though, to find markers because I didn't have any in this one. All right, so that's it. That's the first 2 turns. Got another German armored division coming on, and they'll probably shoot over to that pocket. I'm thinking the best bet here for the Germans is to focus there and drive to that, maybe drive to that map edge, taking those 3 victory locations and cutting off everything in the north, and then having another group that works back towards Lvov here and clear up all. And then I would say once the line is established from here through to that edge right there, then maybe start working towards the south and picking up. There's 4 more victory locations they can pick up. Don't know if they need to get them all, but I have to look. There's a card that says the victory things. I have to look at that. I have to look at it every turn, but really haven't had to worry about it now. I know I got to take those victory locations. All right, so this is Barbarossa, Army Group South. If you want to keep up to date with this one, make sure you subscribe to it and hit that bell. And if you enjoyed it, give it a like. Like I say, I've got 4 of the 6 of these, and I like this, so the odds are you're going to see me playing a lot more of them. All right, we'll get back to you after another game turn or 2 to see how things develop. Thanks for watching.